and that's one thing. So let's go to Edward Snowden, because the reason why Edward Snowden won't come back is because he couldn't, he was a whistleblower, and you know his case very well, so I'll let you speak more eloquently about it. But he won't come back because he couldn't defend himself, is what he's saying, under the Espionage Act. Could you explain that to the audience a little bit, that when you're accused of an Espionage Act, you can't really defend yourself?
No, we don't have something called a proactive defense here in the United States. When Ed Snowden first went public with his revelations, I wrote him 2 letters. One was an open letter that I sent to Arianna Huffington through my attorney, and Arianna published it because I wanted to get as broad coverage as I could. I wrote it from prison. And then I followed up with a private letter that I sent through a mutual friend who was going to Moscow to see him. Mm-hmm. You know what? And first, let me make another point. I really, really hate when people say that Ed Snowden defected to Moscow. He defected to the Russians. He did not. Yeah. He was in the transit lounge of Moscow airport on his way to Ecuador when John Kerry revoked his passport and invalidated it. And so he was stuck there and couldn't travel. Kerry should have let him go to Ecuador. It would have been a lot easier to get him if you wanted to get him. But it's just simply not true that he defected to the Russians. Okay, with that said, I followed it up with a private letter, and I made several recommendations. I told him not to trust anybody, like literally don't trust anybody, because you just never know who is working for the FBI or who's going to rat you out to the FBI. I told him to cultivate his natural allies, especially those on Capitol Hill, because those relationships would save him in the end. And most importantly, I told him to hire the best lawyers money can buy. In fact, I went on to say, you should hire my lawyers because I had the best lawyers money can buy. Well, he did hire my lawyers. And he told me, and he told them as well, that he was willing to come back to the United States. He was willing to go on trial and willing to be found guilty and to be sent to prison for 20 years if he could stand up in court and explain why he did what he did. It's called an affirmative defense. Mm-hmm. And the Justice Department said, absolutely not. Now, he's telling them, I'll give you everything you want and I'll take 20 years. I just want to get up and say why I did it. They said, absolutely not. And so he's not come home. In the last couple of years, he's gotten Russian citizenship. His girlfriend, who was going back and forth, ended up marrying him. And they just had their second child about a year ago. He's working for, sort of the Russian version of Facebook. He's a programmer there. Okay. And and he has a perfectly happy life.
Good for him. I mean, I think, he's a young person that didn't need to give his life in such a way, because it's interesting how, he got the message through that we're under mass surveillance. People know it. It's like people accept it, but they don't know what to do about it. And it's just getting worse and worse, of course, with social media, as we know. And